Hello and welcome to the Formula Racing League. It's F2 time this week. We are at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore, round 3 of the championship. And to let you know of how this will work, one-shot qualifying, so all the cars will be setting their times all simultaneously. Then we've got a 50% race distance feature race, followed by a 50% race distance of a sprint race. We do have some notable names not joining us tonight. Dixon, the championship leader, not involved this evening. He is absent. Looking at also the other drivers, Statisticking also not around. Dixon as well, he's not in. And I think that's around it. So Neverves, second in the championship, has a golden opportunity to come away here from Singapore as the new leader of the F2 League and the Formula Racing League. We're just waiting for drivers to select their choice of tyre to do their one-shot qualifying laps on. And once those are done, we'll begin quali, which is now. Here's Neverves in the high-tech, aiming for a better result than what he had at Silverstone. Neverves finished second in the feature race. It was rather woeful in the sprint. That saw him fall down to as low as 10th position. And he's already exceeded track limits on this lap, so we may as well come away from him. We'll go to Winfield. In the ART, right on board. Turn 8 is going through now. And all of them on the super soft tyres. And he's already exceeded track limits down at turn 11, so that's his lap over. We'll go to Leppy next, or Rune actually. Here's Rune, who's coming towards turn 14, I believe. And into 15, the left-hand kink for the long chicane of 16 and 17. And underneath the bridge he goes, turns 18 and 19. And then 20 and 21. Which takes us towards the final complex. The fast left-handers of 22 and 23 take us onto the pit straight. Rune over the line, and he goes second fastest on a 1:51.2. But it's Big Boss Bowles who will start the race, the feature race that is, from pole position, and bags 4 championship points to his name already. So no problem there for Big Boss Bowles. He's been called in as one of the reserve drivers for this evening. So Big Boss Bowles on pole position with Rune second on the grid next to him. Then it's Leppy and Rosie making up the second row, followed by Podge and Swanshanks on row 3. Wild Dog and Nivion next, followed by Hound and Vintage running out the top 10. Then it's Luckyboff in 11th, followed by Scott with Stevie in 13th position alongside Winfield on the 7th row. Neverves will start 15th on the grid alongside Green Pies, Rizzle 6 and Cohen not able to complete the lap. And so we go on to the race, which will begin very, very shortly. So this situation in the championship, Dixon has 111 points, Neverves has 92. Then it's Rune in 3rd with 75, and it's Exotic Alpha in 4th on 71. Now the point system, when it comes to F2 in the Formula Racing League, is different to what it is in real life F2. For your information, 40 points for the race winner in a feature, followed by the second place man who get 32. Then it's 26 for 3rd, 20 for 4th, right the way down to 15th position who would get 1 point. And for the sprint, it's 30 points for a race win with 24 for 2nd, 19 for 3rd, down to 15th position who would also get 1. And of course, the top 8 finishers from the feature race will get reversed for the sprint race grid, but more on that later. The rain pouring down onto the racetrack. There's no intermediate tyre in Formula 2. It's either the full wets or the slicks. Podge saying hi. Hi there, Podge. Apologies for that. Novavest saying that, well, Quick Killer saying Novavest in the podium places for the feature race. That wouldn't be a bad bet. Depends on how the guys get on in these unpredictable conditions. So it's a 17-lap feature race. All the drivers starting on the full wets. So Big Balls Bells looks to convert his feature race pole into the win, but it's not going to be so easy on this circuit. We are expecting lap times to be over the 2-minute mark, so it could very much come down to time for the race. Now, for a Formula 2 feature race would normally be an hour, but with it being 50% race distance, it'll be half an hour. And I've got a feeling this could well end up going to the half-an-hour limit here for Singapore. And we've already got a Dams pointing the wrong way. That's Podge. Hope to see him get the car going again any moment. So Big Balls Bells ahead of Room. Leppy in third. Rosie's had a moment somewhere. She's fallen way down towards the back of the pack, but she'll still be able to regain her position. So what can Big Balls Bells do from pole? There's a few cars on the grid there. Podge, Wild Dog, Nivea there already, but Big Balls Bells ghosts his way past them to take up his position on the grid. I don't know if the weather is expected to improve. We'll find out soon enough anyway, when everyone is in position. Here we go then. Everyone ready for the start. Here we go. 5 red lights come on. When they go out, we'll be racing for Formula 2 here in Singapore. It's lights out and away we go. It seems as though that Room got the better start than Big Balls Bells. We'll find out when the camera does pan over. And Big Balls Bells and Room going side by side into turn 1. It's Room who gets into the lead. Coming through the first chicane there. Room in second, Big Balls Bells in second place, sorry. Followed by Leppy and Podge, with Rosie going side by side with him, nearly losing it, coming out of turn 3 and 4 actually. But the pair of them going side by side as Rosie looks to the outside of the Dams. And she gets through because Podge is in the wall. Podge has hit the wall, is lost time and places there. We've got a Campos spinning around as well. It looks like Rizzle6 is pointing the wrong way, but Rune stays in the lead with Big Boss Wells in second. It's Leppy in third place with Rosie 4. Then it's Swanshanks in the Dams in fifth position, followed by Lucky Boff and Nivy. Hound is in eighth with Wild Dog ninth, and Scott rounding out your top 10 so far in the Trident. And Swanshanks is going to the inside there of the MP Motorsport car. I can't quite make the move stick there. Rune stays in the lead with Big Boss Wells in second. Oh, and Big Boss Wells hits the wall. He's broken his front wing shortly there. He's got going again though. He's allowed pretty much the whole field to go past him. That allows Rune to pole clear of the rest. Leppy leads. Well, Leppy's in second place ahead of Rosie now with Swanshanks in third. Or Swanshanks in fourth, I should say. Nivy in fifth, followed by Hound, Wild Dog, Winfield, Scott. And then it's Stevie, next behind in the Cheroos. Lucky Boff in the HWA, close behind. Vintage not far behind either. Big Boss Wells rejoining in 13th position. Rizzle6 was the only driver to be penalised at the start. Jumped the start at the beginning, so that'll be him serving a drive-through penalty within the next few laps. Rune nearly losing it as he comes through turns 20 and 21. And he leads Leppy round to complete the first lap of the race. Leppy in second. I've just seen the other drivers, I think they're filtering through single file really as they come around to complete the first lap. Nova Vest trying to get through from the back of the grid. He's not had a good start to the race, to be honest with you. I can see Cohen coming into the pits for Prima. Now, even in wet conditions, the mandatory pit stop window doesn't open until lap 3. And we just see a mistake there from one of the drivers up front there. I couldn't quite tell who it was that's got damage. Might have been the ART of Nivy. He's lost part of his front wing. And Cohen spinning his first up out of the pits there. And looks like Lucky Boff is also going backwards in the HWA. Also he's got damage. No, he's not got any damage by the looks of things. He's dropping back all the time. So Rune continuing to extend his margin. Cohen gets a time penalty for track limits. And Stevie looking to get past Rizzle6 for 15th place. The final points paying position. Nivy holding up Winfield, Hound, Wild Dog and Scott. Rune posts a new fastest up of the race of 2 minutes 15.7. Well, contact there between the ARTs. Winfield nearly losing it as they go onto the pit straight. And Rosie looking to fend off Leppy behind. Nova Vest posting her fastest up as well. Podge and Stevie into the pits together, presumably for new front wings. They'll have to be back in the pits again before the race is over to take their mandatory pit stop. And we've got a Prima spinning round, that'll be Cohen. not having a good race so far. And Scott... Oh! Rosie spun as well. So that's at turn 9 where Rosie spun. And I think Scott's gone for a spin as well in the Trident. So the conditions prove to be very difficult for the drivers right now. Lucky Bob gets penalised for track limits as well. Cohen coming into the pits for Pramer. Don't know if he'll carry on racing. Oh, and Lucky Bob's off. And it looks like we've got a safety car, yeah. So the safety car is out because of leftover debris. Now, what will this mean for the leaders? Because we are now on lap 3, which means you are able to take your mandatory pit stop under the safety car. And the only problem that Roon is going to find potentially is when the field does come in, he's got to wait for the field to go past, or pretty much the field to go past, before he can be released. I think for the leaders it's fine. Well, for Roon it's fine, because he's got 13 seconds in hand over Winfield at least. Podge gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. He won't be able to take that during it. He'll have to take that after. And Roon does come into the pits, or does he? No, he stays out. But Leppy does. Swanshanks also opts to stay out on the tyres that he's on. Nivy also ducking into the pits. Novavest likewise as his Big Boss bells. Lucky Bob most certainly is going to need to come into the pits to get that nose changed. And Podge has got damage to his front wing as well. His teammate stayed out, so he can most definitely come into the pits. Puzzle 6. He's already been in for a drive-through penalty earlier on. So through the pit stops, those who have stopped, Rosie's managed to get out in 9th position. In fact, she's ahead of Leppy. So Leppy had to wait in the pits to allow others go past. So that's allowed Rosie to get through. So out of all the drivers that's come into the pits at the end of that last lap, Rosie is in fact ahead on merit here, because the leaders will need to be pitting in before the race is over to take their mandatory pit stops. It's uncertain how long the safety car will stay out there for. I think it's pretty certain we are going to get to that 30-minute limit for the feature race. Now, 75% race distance is 13 laps. And I'm pretty confident we will get to that. So back at the front, Roon leads behind the safety car with Swanshanks in 2nd, Winfield 3rd. And it's Wild Dog, Hound, Green Pies, Vintage, Scott, and then Rosie, the first of those to have pitted under the safety car in 9th place. The safety car is staying out for another lap. We've seen a couple of drivers making their way into the pit lane. Vintage is one of them. Scott is another. And I think Vintage is taking some of his penalty under the safety car as well before the crew go to work. And Scott gets out in front of Vintage. So Big Boss Wells gets in front of Scott, but only just. I don't know how long the safety car is going to stay out there for. It would normally stay out for a maximum of 3 laps. So Roon leads the field behind the safety car with Swanshanks right behind him. And Cohen has retired from the race. I wonder if he's just... I hope he hasn't just crashed out deliberately. If he has, then he could have the book thrown at him by the stewards afterwards here. This may delay the safety car. I've only gone past the second time beam. He's crashed out at turn 20. And Nivi has retired. Oh, he's crashed at turn 14. So Nivi not going any further. So he's also been under the safety car. Really embarrassing, it has to be said. But his race is over. So the safety car goes round for another lap. Roon continues to lead. Rosie's in 7th place now because of Vintage and Scott pitting in a lap ago. Leppy in 8th. Novavest 9th and Big Boss Bells in 10th with Scott and Vintage behind in 11th and 12th. Stevie and Lucky Buff catching up. They've not caught up to the queue yet. Podge and Rizzlesticks are still some way behind, but at least they'll still be on the lead lap. We're on lap 6 out of 17. Although I expect this race to go to a timed race rather than getting to the full 17 laps. Now, for Roon to win this race would be good news for his championship chances, because as it stands with Novavest down in 9th, Roon would be ahead in the championship race. But a lot can still change between now and the checkered flag, that's for certain. The safety car comes in, is coming in at the end of this lap. And someone has gone off there. Podge is off down at turn 7 by the looks of things. He's had a miserable race as Podge. Qualified brilliantly, but he's fallen by the wayside in this one. So Roon dictates the pace. So Roon. So the top 6 are still yet to pit in this race. So Roon leads the field on the restarts. With Swanshanks in 2nd ahead of Winfield, who goes past him. No problem for him there. And it looks like that Rosie and Green Pies are going toe-to-toe with Hound over 5th position. Rosie nearly running wide. She does run wide. Try not to exceed track limits there, Rosie. Green Pies gets back through into 5th. But Rosie's on the inside as they go into turn 5. Green Pies nearly putting it in the wall, but just avoided it. And so everyone has got through fine. There's Nova Vest going side by side with Leppy over 8th place. There's Hound up ahead as these two go side by side. Oh, there's nearly contact there. Very close between these drivers. Rizzlesticks has come into the pits and he's out of the race. Stevie getting her lucky buff for 13th position as well. Oh, they've got a spin. Oh, Scott's just avoided the barrier though. I wonder if Podge will do the same actually. He's just come into the pits. He may well call it quits from this race. But we'll see him back for the sprints later on. So Rune leads on the restart. Winfield up to 2nd. Swanshanks 3rd. Wild Dogs in 4th with Rosie 5th. Green Pies is in 6th ahead of Leppy, Hound, Nova Vest and Big Boss Bowles. Nova Vest diving to the inside of Hound to go up into 8th here. He was one of those that did pit at the end of, well, during the safety car I should say. And he makes his way up another position. Big Boss Bowles looking to do the same. Looking to recover after that spin earlier on. Stevie gets a time penalty for track limits. Oh, Hound trying to get back through here on Big Boss Bowles. That was a very over-ambitious manoeuvre. But they both survived it somehow. So Rune leads at the end of lap 7. Winfield in 2nd place. Swanshanks in 3rd with Wild Dog ahead of Rosie. Nearly losing it. She got the power down coming out of turn 3, I believe, or turn 4. Green Pies running wide again there. You can see Nova Vest alongside. He's got past the Carlin, as is Leppy. So Nova Vest and Leppy making up a position each. There's an incident though involving the Cheroos of Stevie and the HWA of Lucky Boff. Now, will that be enough to deploy another either a virtual safety car or a safety car? There's Podge though in 15th. If he can just get to the end of the race, he would still get a point. He does have a time penalty though. There's a drive-through penalty that he'll need to take. And, oh, he's lost it there at turn 18. He's left some debris down there as well, so that'll be a new front wing coming his way. Winfield in 2nd place now behind Rune as they go head-to-head on track. Both still need to be pitting in, though, before the race is over. And we've got Scott facing the wrong way. Oh, careful, boys. Don't run into each other. Nova Vest in 5th position. Getting past Wild Dog now, so Nova Vest on a charge on this restart. Podge is in the pits and he's out of the race. So he goes no further. And Scott did continue. Nova Vest trying to get past the MP Motorsport car of Rosie, but the problem is it's a yellow flag, so he's not able to make the move stick at the moment. He can do now though, alongside the MP, and Nova Vest passes Rosie to go up into 4th position. But Rosie's still not giving up though. They go side by side through turns 4 and now 5. But Nova Vest has the upper hand and he gets through. Swanshanks has a time penalty for track limits. As is Scott and Stevie into the pits for a new nose. And Leppy getting in front of Wild Dog. Wild Dog run out wide there by the Prema. And Leppy gets past, nearly touching the wall at turn 8, but has got away with it. So Winfield takes the lead then from Roon. So Winfield finally in front of the MP Motorsport car. But we've got a virtual safety car. Now who's lost it this time? There's an incident between Big Balls Bells and Wild Dog. Down at turn 10. So it's a virtual safety car. No, it's not a full safety car. Drivers have to adhere to a delta time, of which Scott is not able to do so. He's been penalised. He gets a drive-through penalty, which he'll have to take once the virtual safety car does end. Now, you can't take your mandatory pit stop under a virtual safety car, but Winfield and Roon will be anticipating coming in, and Scott's out. So Scott's lost it at where the Anderson Bridge is at turn 12, and he goes no further. We're back on the way though, with Winfield continuing to lead, but he still has his mandatory pit stop to make. Swanshank's also due in. Winfield started the race 14th on the grid to get himself up to where he is, but he'll drop right down the field, but at least he'll be on fresher tyres. He may even decide to wait for another safety car. Oh, he nearly lost it coming out of turn 4 there. And Wild Dog in the pits for a new front wing. I'll see him fall down to 12th position. You can see there Rosie battling out with Leppy, who's just got past her actually. So Leppy up into 5th position. Noah Vest going side by side with the dams of Swanshanks. Swanshanks not having any of it there. And he stays in front of the high-tech. Now Winfield, Roon and Swanshanks got to be careful not to leave it too late, because if this ends up being a timed race, then they won't have much time to get the tyres into the optimum window after they do pit in. Noah Vest passing Swanshanks then for 3rd place. Now, if you do not take your mandatory pit stop in this race, you will be disqualified. So Winfield takes the lead from Roon. Noah Vest closing in behind in 3rd place. He's already made his mandatory pit stop, so he's in prime position to win this one now. Winfield gets a time penalty now for track limits. He didn't need that at all. It does set the new fastest up of the race though. But that's taken away by Nova Vest. 2 minutes 10.4. Swanshanks does come into the pits for his mandatory pit stop. He'll fall down to 11th position. But at least to be on fresher tyres than the others. And out he goes. He should be moving now. He's behind Lucky Boff anyway. He may have been serving some of his time penalty in the pit stop there. Not sure what the delay was all about, to be honest with you. Stevie gets another time penalty for track limits. And Stevie getting ahead of Wild Dog now for 12th position. I think Wild Dog must have had a moment somewhere. Yeah, he's ripped off his front wing, look. He's understeering horribly into the corners. So the track's still wet at the moment. Now, normally these would be intermediate conditions, but in F2, it's either the full wets or the slicks. So the full wets are the tyres to be on right now for these guys. Now, when will Winfield and Roon come in for their stops? I think they're going to be coming in at the end of this lap. So they're pitting at the end of lap 11. That promotes Nova Vest into the lead of this feature race. And he posts the new fastest lap of the race. Big Balls Bells will go back up to 4th position. Winfield completes his stop, as does Roon. Where will they feed back out? Well, Lucky Boff is coming down the start-finish straight. May go past Roon, but he won't go past Winfield. In fact, Winfield gets out in 7th place. So Winfield on the fresher tyres and start putting in some really fast laps here to potentially get back into a podium position, but he has got that time penalty, remember, so he has to get his skates on. And Wild Dog into the pits for UNI Virtuosi. And Roon going to the outside there of Lucky Boff, and that puts his MP up into 8th, so he wastes no time getting past the HWA. And Vest continuing to set fastest laps as the laps keep on ticking down. Two minutes 9.6, 8/10 faster than what he had previously set. Vintage closing in on Green Pies ahead of him. Now, Vintage is on tyres that are 5 laps younger than Green Pies, so this should be not a fairly easy overtake, but he'll have more grip than the car in ahead. It is still raining out there, so the wet tyres are the one to be on, as Stevie's had a moment down at turn 13, but it's continued. Winfield gets past Vintage for 6th position, so whilst Vintage has been fighting with Green Pies, he decides to let the ART go. And Green Pies kindly, actually, oh no, I say kindly, he doesn't let Winfield through. He runs wide at turn 5, and Winfield goes past and up into 5th. He's got 6 seconds to make up on Big Balls Bells, not to mention he does have that time penalty, so Winfield and Green Pies has been overtaken by Vintage. It goes down to 7th, with Roon closing in behind. Stevie gets another time penalty for track limits. And Wild Dog has just been lapped by Nova Vest. And Wild Dog is on fresher tyres than Nova Vest, so he may be able to get back ahead of him. But he certainly isn't going at the pace of what the leader's doing, so it's probably unlikely he will do. We're on lap 13 of the race now. I'm not quite sure where we are with time for the race, whether we will complete the full 17 laps. or whether it'll be down to time. Now, if the time does reach to 30 minutes, the next time the race leader crosses the line, there'll be one more lap. And it's just posted the fastest lap of the race of 2 minutes 9 for Nova Vess. And there's Green Pies in 7th place ahead of Rune. And it's now a 10-second time penalty for Stevie. Oh, he's got no front wing, that explains it. Please don't deliberately cross the car, mate. Oh, he just has. He's kept it going though somehow. That'll probably be him back into the pit lane for a new front wing. No question. I'm just watching him to see if he actually does navigate eyes. Continuing to get time penalties now. Don't deliberately crush the car, mate. Do not deliberately crush it. He's deliberately trying to crash now. He's trying to deliberately crash, and this is not fair on the rest of the field who are currently racing. No, this is really silly now. This is really silly from Stevie. I'm sure the stewards will... Ah, he's crossed the car, look. He tried to deliberately cross the car over a sequence of corners, and I'm sure the stewards will be having words with him afterwards, because that is really unacceptable as far as driving standards is concerned. Nova Vess goes past the wrecked Charoux. But thankfully the safety car is not needed, and so we carry on. And Nova Vess has got 3 laps to go. Will be a very, very convincing victory. Leppy 12 seconds behind, Rosie 3rd. Big Boss Bells has done well to get back up to 4th place, but he's got Winfield, who's setting some very fast laps in the moment, closing him down. Now, when Winfield does get onto the back of the UNI Virtuosi, he may be let through by Big Boss Bells, because Winfield does have that time penalty, of which will be applied at the end of this one. He's decreasing the gap here is Winfield all the time. And Hound into the pits. Winfield try and go for the fastest lap. He rejoins in 11th. But even if he did get the fastest lap, he wouldn't keep those points, because he's outside the top 10. So Nova Vess. I wonder if he's aware of the time for the race itself, whether it'll be down to time or the racing laps as scheduled. And he's carrying on as he is, and Lucky Boff getting past Green Pies for a moment there, and he does get through on merit. Now Lucky Boff's time penalty is 2 seconds less than Green Pies, so he would finish ahead of him as it stands. Now Green Pies hasn't pitted in this race yet, so he's got to pit in to take his mandatory stop, otherwise he will be disqualified. can't believe he's actually gone all the way. I mean, he'll only lose one position. He's got to take his mandatory pit stop. And Wild Dog into the pits. And Lucky Buff getting back through on Green Pies again. But the Carlin's not giving up though. This is for reverse grid pull, effectively, but even if it was a battle, Green Pies won't be starting there because he's still yet to take his mandatory pit stop. So he's got to take it at the end of this lap, otherwise he will be disqualified. And what's happened here to Swanshanks? Has he got a problem? I wonder if this is a fuel issue, to be honest with you. Otherwise, losing time. And it looks like the UI virtual race of Lucky Buff is there. Now, has the race actually already finished? Doesn't look so from the timing screen, so it could be down to fuel for the drivers. Novaves is about to start the last lap of the race in first position. Leppy's in second. Winfield's get past Big Balls Bells, who spins. He's made a mistake there as Big Balls Bells. Is that him going into the pit lane, or is he going to decide to carry on? I think with one lap remaining, I think he's going to have to carry on, because otherwise he'll lose too much time in the pits and too many places. And Wild Dog's off again, down at turn 14, but he's continued. So Novaves is onto the last lap. It's been a comfortable drive from him from 14th position. Get himself up there thanks to the safety car. And Lucky Buff is now being penalised for track limits. Going from bad to worse for him now. Rune has got past Vintage. He's also slowing by the looks of things. Green Pies has got through though, so surely Green Pies is going to be disqualified now because he didn't take his mandatory pit stop. Rune thought about getting through, but he's also running short of fuel. And Wild Dog's in the barrier there on slicks. So I don't know what the drama's all about on the last lap with fuel. Novaves has got enough fuel in his high-tech, and he's going to come round to take a convincing victory in the feature race. So Novaves entering the last few turns. There's just 2 more turns to go now for him. He'll come through and he'll take victory in the feature race here in Singapore. Novaves wins, and that result puts him into the lead of the championship going into the sprint race later on. Leppy will finish in a fine second place for Prema, and it'll be Rosie going to the podium for MP Motorsport in third place. Let's go all the way up to Big Balls Bells in fourth place because Winfield is slowing down with a shortage of fuel, it seems. So the time penalty is hardly relevant for Big Balls Bells. He will finish in fourth position. Winfield will be fifth, and I doubt Green Pies will keep hold of sixth place here because he did not take his mandatory pit stop. So Winfield will cross over the line in fifth place. He was hoping for more than that, but at least he gets to the checker flag. Green Pies is sixth. Rune is also slowing down with fuel shortage. issues. He's in 7th. Vintage 8th. Lucky Boff 9th. Swanshanks 10th. Hounds in 11th and Wild Dog 12th and a lap down. So Vintage over the line in 8th place, and he'll start from reverse grid pole as it stands. Wild Dog has finished the lap down in 12th place. Lucky Boff is 9th. Swanshanks 10th for him. And the Hound, last of those needing to cross over the line, 11th. Wild Dog a lap down in 12th place. But it's Novaves who's taken victory in the feature race here in Singapore. Now Novaves has already won the feature race in Barcelona a few weeks ago. This is his second victory of the season. He made that look so easy from 14th position on the grid. Or 15th position on the grid, whichever position he started. It was towards the back anyway. So here's your race result then. Novaves wins ahead of Leppy in second place. Then it's Rosie in third. Big Boss Bells in fourth, followed by Winfield and Green Pies in sixth place. Rune is in seventh, followed by Vintage. Lucky Boff ninth. Swanshanks in 10th place. Hound in 11th, followed by Wild Dog. Stevie crashed out, along with Scott. Podge, Rizzlesticks, Nivy and Cohen also didn't make the checker flag. So Novaves starts the night with victory, and I doubt that Green Pies' result is going to stand because he did not make his mandatory pit stop at all in that race. So I don't think his 6th place is going to stand. That's something that the stewards are going to have to review post-race. So on reverse grid pole, it will be Vintage ahead of Rune, with Green Pies, Winfield, Big Bob Balls and Rosie next behind. We're right back in a moment for the sprint race, so don't go anywhere. It's a dry race here in Singapore. And it seems to see the number of competitors are shorter than what we had earlier in the feature race. However, that doesn't change things too much. I'm just counting the number of those involved. Looks like we've got 15 out of the 18 that we're supposed to have. But at least we've still got a dry race to wait for. 15 seconds away from the start of the formation lap for the drivers to find the limits of the circuit. There's no mandatory pit stop in the sprint race. It's very much a lights to flag victory. We could see pit stops depending on the tyre strategies that the guys have decided to go on. So Vintage leads the field on the formation lap. Rune in second ahead of Vintage. And then Scott there, controlled by the AI at the moment. Hound likewise. And Podge as well. Not really too pleased with these guys, just leaving the AI to do it for them in the sprint race. It'll be a 12-lap sprint. All the drivers are on the soft tyres, the harder of the two compounds here. A lot of them use the super soft compound in quali, but this is the harder compound. We shouldn't really see pit stops in this one. There could be a safety car towards the end. Find out soon enough anyway. So Vintage will lead the cars onto the grid for the second race of tonight to round off the latest round of Formula 2 in the Formula Racing League. Rune hoping to redeem himself from finishing low down as he did so in the feature, to come away with some good points here and stay in the hunt with the likes of Novaves, who'll be starting 8th because he won the feature race. So everyone is in position then. So the 5 red lights are about to come on. Here we go then. It's lights out and away we go for the second time tonight. Vintage gets off the line well, as does Green Pies, but Rune has lost places at the start and he's fallen down to 4th place already. There's contact behind involving one of the dams. Has got an MP and the Prema going offline. I think Leppy and what looks like Rosie may have gone off the track there, but they've continued anyhow. So Vintage stays in front with Green Pies up into 2nd place, hits the wall on the outside of turn 5. Hope that hasn't done too much damage. It's Rune ahead of Big Boss Bells and Winfield. Lucky Barfus in 6th place ahead of Rosie, with Novaves still in 8th. But he's looking to make up ground already. He's on the inside of the MP and he goes up into 7th place, does he? I think he does so as they enter turn 8. He'll hang it around the outside and Novaves gets through. So Leppy did go off down at turn 1. There's contact between Rosie and Novaves. Novaves gets past though and he will pull away from the MP. So Vintage will be under pressure from Green Pies and Rune very shortly. This should be an interesting battle here. There's no DRS for the first 2 laps of this one. Oh, Green Pies caught the barrier with his left rear, and that allows the MP of Rune to get through. So Rune back up into 2nd place after that terrible start. Oh, Vintage runs wide, and that allows Rune through as they come out of turn 14. So Rune into the lead of the sprint race. And now we can see Green Pies looking to go round the outside of Vintage to put his car in up into 2nd position. Oh, they touched though. And Green Pies hit the barrier. And Winfield, I think, almost spun as he exited turn 18 there. There's debris on the racetrack. Will we need a virtual safety car to allow the debris to be picked up? Not too sure. Oh, we've got cars spinning round now, and the Campos has spun round, as has... Now, did that Prema restart from the position there? I think Cohen's spun and reset the car onto the racetrack, which is against the Formula Racing League rules and regulations. So you have plenty of drivers heading for the pit lane. And Vissel 6 has retired from the race. And there's Big Boss Bells there. He says he's in the lead, but it's not. It's Rune who's in the lead. It does say we're on lap 3, but it is in fact lap 2. That's a glitch with the graphic. So Vintage is in 3rd place with Novavest up to 4th through all that drama. Wild Dog, Rosie and Swanshanks are next. Green Boys rejoining 15th after that melee. And Cohen running wide down at turn 1 already. I'm not sure what that is all about. He must have just skid off through turn 1 and 2 and 3. Now, there are driving standards rules here, mate. Please do not intentionally crash the car. Otherwise, you will have the book thrown at you by the stewards. So Lucky Boff in 5th position. And we've got Cohen, who's made a mistake down at turns 7 and 8. He's continuing on his way, though. So we're on lap 3 of the race. DRS has now been enabled. You can see Vintage running wide on the exit of turn 23, and that's allowed Novavest to get through and up into 3rd place. Now, if you're within 1 second of the car in front of the detection point for the DRS zone, you can use your DRS. Lucky Boff hitting the barrier on the exit there. He's still behind his teammate though, so he'll use the DRS, as will Wild Dog and Rosie. So there's Rune out in the lead. Big Boss Wells is in 2nd. The gap is 3.2. Vintage holding off Lucky Boff behind. Lucky Boff clipping the barrier there, but before they go through the Anderson Bridge. And Cohen's out of the race. He's crashed out at turn 7. I hope that was not deliberate as well. I think the stewards may want to be having a word with these drivers about driving standards and not intentionally crashing the car. I hope this does not contribute to a safety car though. So 1 minute 54.2. So it's the fastest up of the race for Rune as he extends the margin over Big Boss Bells. Novavest takes away that fastest up from Rune, so 2 points coming his way as it stands. Rosie diving to the inside there of Wild Dog as they tussle over 6th position. Rosie gets through on the inside and she goes through. Also, she thought. Unai Virtuosi back on the inside. And Winfield gets a time penalty for track limits. Swanshanks comes into the pits. And we've got a virtual safety car. So we've got a virtual safety car. Oh, and Rosie making contact there. She don't want to be doing that under a virtual safety car. I think she must have been penalised for that, though. She's got 8 seconds worth of time penalty. And Stevie's out. And he's deliberately crossed the car. Now, I think that's really silly there. That is an intentional accident. That's twice he's done that tonight now, has Stevie. And there'll most certainly be some inquiries to the stewards about the driving standards of which the drivers have to adhere to. And Vintage gets the drive-through penalty now for speeding onto the virtual safety car, as will Rune. So 2 drivers getting drive-throughs for speeding. So Rune's race is effectively ruined. So that'll be him going into the pit lane very shortly. He decides to stay out for another lap before he does come in. And once he does pit in for that drive-through, that'll hand the lead to Big Balls Bells, with Novavest effectively second and Lucky Boff going up to third. Dreadful mistake there for Vintage. There's Wingfield in 13th place, getting past Green Pies. Green Pies fighting back though. Rosie gets past Lucky Boff on the inside, and Rosie, does she get through up to 4th? The answer is yes. And now the Trophy of Wild Dog closing in behind them. He can't get through either. Sensibly waiting behind, as is Leppy. There's Nivy in 8th. Wild Dog now gets past Lucky Boff. Does that open the door for Leppy to get through as well? The answer is yes. So Lucky Boff continuing to lose places. So Rune out in front on that 5 out of 12. Novavest right behind Big Balls Bells. It's just a matter of time before he does get past here, the high-tech driver. We know that Big Balls Bells is not an easy driver to pass in the Formula Racing League. And Rune decides to stay out for one more lap. Now he's got to pit the next time around, otherwise he will be disqualified. And Leppy's gone off at the runoff area at turn 18 by the looks of it. He's continuing on his way though. So no reverse rear wing open. On the inside. And Novavest, does he get through here? The answer is no, he spins! Novavest spins and Big Balls Bells continues on. He's lucky not to lose too many places in that one, Novavest. He didn't lose a place. I suppose that's good news for Rune, actually, as he is out in front. Now, by the time he does serve his drive-through penalty, he'll probably rejoin. He'll probably rejoin around about where Leppy is in 8th. I think he'll rejoin in 7th, thinking about it. Well, the lead he's got over Leppy is 32 seconds, so that's definitely enough for him to rejoin ahead of the rest. Nivy also behind Lucky Boff as they go into combat. Turn 14 they come. And Rune does come in to serve his drive-through. So when he comes, that allows Big Balls Bells to take over the lead. Novavest will go up to 2nd. Rosie will go up to 3rd with Wild Dog 4th. With Lucky Boff and Nivy following suit. I think Rune might get out in front of Lucky Boff and Nivi, and he does so. He rejoins in 5th after that drive-through. Leppy's in the pits though, presumably for a new front wing. He's got to hope for a safety car now, hasn't he? Highly unlikely though. Nivi finally gets past Lucky Boff, who fights back actually. So Lucky Boff trying to get through on the ART. So Leppy rejoins in 15th position. Big Boss Bells 2 seconds clear of Nova Vest. And someone's made a mistake. Is that Vintage who's made a mistake? No, it's Lucky Boff. And he's damaged his front wing as well. Now, will this contribute to a safety car, a virtual safety car with that debris lying around? And he's got himself another 3 seconds worth of time penalty for good measure. To add insult to injury. Swanshank's going past the AI cars. Fighting amongst each other at the moment. Lucky Boff into the pits for that new nose. And he's going on to a set of super soft tyres. Interested to see what laps he can put in the remaining laps. Leppy on the start finish straight. Will he go past Lucky Boff? No, he won't. Lucky Boff gets out in front of him. This is the battle we want to be watching now, though, because Big Boss Bells is under pressure from the high tech of Nova Vest. Neither of these two have got penalties to their name, so it's pretty much a straight fight for the victory here. Rosie getting a time penalty. She's got 11 seconds worth of time penalty now. That's going to drop her down a few positions. 3 as it stands. So no reverse. Someone has had a moment down in sector 2, and it's Rosie this time. So Rosie spins, which allows her teammate Rune to go past, and Nivi as well. Green Pie's stuck in the barrier. Is that going to contribute to a safety car, I wonder? There's debris all over the place at the moment, so we could well see a safety car. As Big Boss Bells still fending off Nova Vest in the battle for the lead. Wild Dog's in third place, but his time penalty will drop him behind Rune. And Novavest has got a time penalty for track limits, so that compromises his chances of winning this race. So even though if he does get past Big Boss Bells, we still need to pull out a 3-second margin on him, with 3 laps remaining. So Novavest gets through into the lead, but can he keep it by the checkered flag? Wild Dog is in third place, but his time penalty would only drop him 1 place. He'll be off the podium. And Green Pies has crashed out at turn 18. I hope that wasn't intentional. I think the stewards may need to be having a word with drivers about driving standards. So Novavest trying to pull out a margin on Big Boss Bells, who's behind. There's room behind Wild Dog in the fight over third place. We are now on the penultimate lap of this one. The gap is currently now at 9/10 or 8/10 of a second, but Big Boss Bells will have the DRS. Rosie's gone off at turn 20, but she's continued. She's got a margin of 17 seconds as it stands. It'll be a lot less than that now with her making that mistake. So Novavest has been able to pull out that crucial 1 second gap to keep Big Boss Bells out of DRS range. And Leppy getting past the controlled AI cars to get back into the top 10. And Novavest getting another time penalty for track limits, so that's his chances of the race victory gone now. So that really pretty much assures Big Boss Bells a victory here in the sprint race. He'll still finish second, of course. And losing points in the championship is not what he needs. As it stands, it'll be Big Boss Bells, Novavest, Rune, Wild Dog, Nivi. And then it's Rosie in sixth. Had a Vintage and Swan Shanks. So Novaves will cross the line first, but he will not keep that race victory. Big Boss Bell's 2.9 behind, but it's fine. He just needs to keep his car on the track here. So Novaves entering the last couple of corners now. He'll take the checker flag, but it's Big Boss Bowles. He'll come away with the sprint race victory here in Singapore. Big Boss Bowles wins at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in this sprint race. Novaves drops to second with the time penalty applied. Rune, providing he stays within 3 seconds of Wild Dog, will go to the podium. At least it's some recompense for his melodies in the feature race earlier on today. Yeah. So he finishes third. Wild Dog is fourth. Nivi will be fifth, with Rosie coming home in sixth position. Now Vintage will be seventh, behind Swanshanks. Oh no, but he's behind Swanshanks on the road, but Swanshanks will fall to eighth because of the time penalties. Unless Winfield can actually get to within 6 seconds of him. No, he finishes ninth. Leppy will be in front of Lucky Boff. He will be 11th. Then it's the AI cars of Podge, Hound and Scott. But victory for Big Boss Bowles in the sprint race here at Singapore. Excellent job. So Big Boss Bowles wins in the sprint race ahead of Novaves in second, who gets the fast lap points. Rune is third ahead of Wild Dog, then it's Niffy ahead of Rosie. Vintage, Swanshanks, Winfield and Leppy round out the top 10. Then it's Lucky Boff, followed by the AI cars of Podge, Hound and Scott. Green Pies crashed out, as did Stevie. Cohen and Rizzle 6 also did not finish the race. In regards to the championship then, if my calculations are correct, just looking to see who picks up more points than the others. Well, Novaves's victory and second place, victory in the feature and second in the sprint, moves him into the lead of the title race by quite some way ahead of Dixon. We'll keep up to date with the championship standings by the time we do get to the next round of the championship, which will be at Sochi in Russia for round 4 of the Formula 2 season. I'm Tom Cairns, and I'll speak to you again soon when the Formula Racing League returns.